Shavuot Tov. Today we're continuing learning Mesilat Yesharim. We're on page 107 of Rabbi Victor Miller's commentary, and this is chapter 120. Last week we read the first paragraph. I'm going to quickly review it on page 106. And for that reason, in order to earn eternal reward in the next world, man is put first in this world, in order that by these means that offer themselves to him here, he will be able to arrive at the place which was prepared for him, which is Olam Haba, the world to come, to be satiated there with happiness that he acquired for himself by these means. The happiness is, again, building yourself, building and raising your soul, fixing your character traits, and with those better tools that are the character traits, if the character traits are perfect, we will be able to see and enjoy the light of Shekhinah, the divine presence. And as we explained last week, if your tools are crooked, then the light that is going to come will only hurt. It will be embarrassing, as opposed to if your lenses are clean, you will actually enjoy the light, your eyes will not hurt. The better the preparations one makes in this world, the more happiness one will have in the world to come. The reward is not uniform for everyone. Rather, one who puts in more effort to prepare himself will experience enjoyment according to what he acquires. As the sages say, that one time doing a mitzvah with effort is worth more than doing a mitzvah 100 times without effort. So everything is measured according to the effort the person puts in, and as well as what you start with. The lower your level and the higher you climb, the more reward you get. Your level may be very high when you were born and you enjoyed free flow, easy life, and you stayed on that high level. That itself is good, but you didn't change much, and therefore, even though you may be much higher than someone else, but that someone grew, put in a lot of effort, whereas another person only grew a little bit, and even though throughout life he feels above and everybody respects him, he's on such a high level, and he really is, but the reward that he's going to get is much smaller than the person lower. That is why when one sage in the Talmud lost his son to a disease, and then sometime later the son awoke again from his near-death experience, the father asked his son, "What did you see in the next world?" And the son answered, "An upside down world did I see. Whoever is on top in this world was on the bottom in the next world. Whoever was low in this world was very high in the next world." And that is because we judge circumstances and people according to the external picture, what we see there outside. We don't know what's going on in the inner world, and we don't know the struggles they go through, and we don't know what talents they were born with and what they acquired through their own struggle. And this is what the sages of blessed memory said: today is to do them, the mitzvot, and tomorrow is the time for the reward. And we know that many mitzvot we do in this world, and we receive the reward in this world as well. We know that on average, most of the time, people who are good, they have good lives. Most of the time, people who are kind, they have pleasant, pleasurable life, surrounded by people who love them. And people who are cruel, angry, they have unhappy lives, and people around them treat them the same way. So we already see that people who follow the way of Torah, the way of Hashem, they have on average and great majority of time good life. And people who stay away from the proper path, they have bad life. And that is already in this world. And in the next world, that's where we will see the majority of the reward. And that's where those that are evil will see the majority of punishment. Even though it is true that majority of people who are bad, they suffer in this life, but in the next world, that's where the difference is going to become ultimate and drastic. Those that did mitzvot here will be living a life of eternal pleasure, and those that did sins will live life of suffering and embarrassment. The Mesilat Yesharim is referring to the Gemara, which discusses the timing of divine reward. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi asks, what is the meaning of the words, I command you to do them today? We say this in Shema, Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom. Actually, it's a slightly different pasuk, but similar to Shema. I command you to do the mitzvot today. And he answers, Hayom lasotam, today, in this world, we do the mitzvot, and not tomorrow, and not in the next world can we do the mitzvot. Today was made to do them, and tomorrow was made to receive the reward. The Gemara emphasizes the word today and the word to do. First, today is the time. The time is today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow there is no opportunity to do. And second, today is the time to do, to work hard, not to relax, not to seek reward, not to enjoy life without accomplishment. Very often a person pushes himself, he accomplishes, and then he pauses. He steps back and says, I accomplished enough. And he relaxes, he takes vacation, he takes it easy, and then starts the descent. And all that time, he is losing everything that he gained. And not only that, he also loses all those opportunities, all the days that he could have gained more, and he's not. So, as they say, don't rest on your laurels, don't enjoy too much your victory. Continue to the next battle, next accomplishment. As again, one of our sages, he said, don't relax. We will relax in the next world. We'll have plenty of time to relax. The whole eternity. Life is too short to relax. In life, every moment should be used to push forward, to accomplish more and more and more. Happiness in this life is not the goal and is not an achievement. Happiness is the base level, the foundation. To be successful in this life, you need to be happy. But then you have to build on it. If you just like desolation, means nothing growing, that already can make you happy. Just the fact that I am alive without any possessions, without any accomplishments, already makes me happy. I'm alive, I have potential. But if I never actualize the potential, the happiness didn't achieve anything. The happiness is the foundation when there is nothing yet, but there is potential. And therefore, happiness is not the goal, and happiness is not an achievement. This world is only for the purpose of doing, and the more a man does, the more he is satisfied with his life. If a person is successful, enjoys life, is happy, it does not mean that he has utilized his life at all. which means cannot stop. As the Gemara says, even if you harvested at the beginning of your life, continue planting and harvesting at the end of your life. Don't stop. And the Gemara interprets it to mean that if you had children when you were young, don't settle, don't be satisfied, don't close the shop, but rather continue striving to have more children. And the Gemara says, because you never know which investment is going to be successful. You may have opened the business, and if you just step back and relax, maybe the business will close down. Open another business and another. Although that's not what we recommend in the physical sense, but in spiritual sense, that's exactly what you have to do. Just because you understood a concept, you read a book, you learned halachot, you finished Chumash or Tanakh or even the entire Talmud, don't stop. Just because you had 1, 2, 3, 4 children, don't stop. Say, can I have another one? Can I have another one? Another investment, another investment, another investment. But it's going to be hard. That's what life is for. But I'll have to stay up late at night. I'll have to wake up in the middle of the night. I'll have to wake up early in the morning to get my children ready for school. I'll have to do homework with them, and I'll have to pay for their extracurricular activities and tuition and weddings and everything. That's what life is about. Hashem gives you the raw material and gives you time, and you take it and accomplish as much as possible with it. If you say, Hashem, I want to take it easy, Hashem says, so then why did I give you all that? Why did I invest in you so much? I could have invested a little bit in you, and then you risk losing all those extras, and Hashem will say, it's enough for you, just a little bit of wealth. It's enough for you, or just a little bit of health. You don't need so much, because you're not planning to do anything with it anyway. So one way to live a long life and one way to stay healthy and never to lose your wealth is to use all your resources. And we see this with a physical system, our body, that if you don't use your muscles, they atrophy and they disappear completely. And the same thing with the brain. If you don't use your brain, your memory function and your conceptual understanding and figuring out things becomes diminished. And so too with our resources. If we don't constantly use our money, new money is not going to flow in. If we don't use every last ounce of our strength, Hashem says, you have too much strength left, let me take some away. You don't need it. It's wasting. And therefore we have to continue striving for more, never resting, never relaxing. Furthermore, a person should not look for reward in this world, because in this world there is no reward at all. Relatively compared to the next world, there is no reward in this world. As we explained, number one, it's limited in its time. It lasts only a short period of time. Any pleasure you have, as they say, every pleasure can be compared to honey. You have 1 teaspoon of honey, you enjoy it. Your second teaspoon, you can manage, but it's not as enjoyable. Third spoon, you don't enjoy it at all. And the fourth spoon, it starts hurting. You just don't want to have it. It becomes painful. So pleasures are limited. First bite is delicious, afterwards not. Law of diminishing returns. And it's also limited in its quality, because we have a limited amount of neurons, of nerve endings, and a limited number of signals that come into our brain, limited number of neurons that can process it. And so there's a lot of pleasure available, but we just cannot absorb all of it. In the next world, we have unlimited quantity and quality. The pleasure never stops. The pleasure is always pleasurable, like the first moment, and it lasts eternity. And it's also qualitatively different because our soul is infinite, so the entire soul with its infinite potential can feel and absorb the pleasure. So compared to the next world, pleasures of this world are insignificant and as if they don't exist. In this world, there is no reward at all. Compared to eternity, it's as if it's nothing. As our sages say, Sechar mitzvah b'hai alma leika. Whatever appears in this world as a reward is merely encouragement to facilitate doing more. So, when a person does a mitzvah and he receives a reward for it, that reward should not be viewed as a reward, but as an opportunity to do more. You helped a poor person and all of a sudden you get a promotion, you get a bonus, you get a few $1,000s. So you shouldn't say, oh, that means it's a reward. No, it's not a reward. In this world, there is no reward. Every resource we receive in this world is an opportunity and a test to do more. Oh, I received the bonus, few $1,000s for the mitzvah that I did, helping a poor. That's not a reward. I should take this few $1,000s and invest it into a gemach and start lending money to people. If Hashem gave me extra money, I should invest it to do more with my money. Whatever appears in this world as a reward is merely encouragement to facilitate doing more. When a person does mitzvot, Hashem gives him health and longer days and opportunity to do more mitzvot. But the purpose of these blessings is not a reward. People run after pleasures in this world and think that life is only for the purpose of having good time. But they are making the biggest mistake, because this is not the place for good times. Every moment we enjoy good times, we're losing so much. We're losing eternity in the next world. Tomorrow is the time for reward. In fact, tomorrow means the next world. If Hashem would pay the person in this world for a mitzvah, it would be the biggest misfortune. If Hashem says, you've done enough, now go relax, I reward you with carefree life, that's a disaster, that's a curse, because Hashem is cutting off your life short. He's saying you're not going to accomplish any more from now on. We don't want that to happen. So we view the blessing that comes to us after doing a mitzvah as an opportunity to do more mitzvot. And as Chovat HaLevavot says, if a person is poor, it means Hashem does not expect him to accomplish in that area. He is off the hook. Wealth is an opportunity to do mitzvot. Wealth is a test. What will I do with my money? A poor person is safe. He cannot fail. A rich person, he has money. If he invests the money, good. And if he doesn't, Hashem will have a complaint against him. I gave you money. Why didn't you use it? So again, if Hashem pays us for doing a mitzvah in this world, it would be the biggest misfortune. It would be like taking $1 million check and exchanging it for a pack of cigarettes or an apple. Doing a mitzvah guarantees you that you will get something like $1 million in the next world. And you say, Hashem, I don't want to wait for next world. Give me reward now. Okay, fine. What can I give you? Oh, I want an apple. Okay, here's an apple. Give me your check. And it's even worse, because the way we explain, if you get an apple, at least you get something. But over here, by giving you easy life, no accomplishments, that means that every moment from then on, you're losing billions of dollars in the next world, because every accomplishment is infinite reward. And so we want good life, but the good life is not to be enjoyed for the sake of enjoying good life, rather for accomplishment. As Rabbi Yuhanan said when he was dying, he lifted up his fingers and he said, God, my hands are clean. I did not enjoy from this world at all. And the question is asked, how can Rabbi Yuhanan say that he didn't enjoy from this world at all when he was the richest person alive at that time among the Jewish people, and some say even among the non-Jews. He was the second after the Roman emperor in wealth. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi had so much that the sages find it hard to imagine. How is it that he didn't enjoy anything? His tables were always full of delicacies. He was wearing the best clothing, servants everywhere, palace. How can he say I didn't enjoy? And the answer is because he did not view the delicacies as enjoyment and reward for his deeds. He didn't view good clothing and servants and palace as reward. He viewed it as responsibility. He said, I have money, that means I have to support Talmidei Chachamim. And he established yeshivot where he put the sages, and he said, I will pay you so that you compile me the Mishnayot, the code of Jewish law, the oral Torah. And he single-handedly supported the project. He had a lot of food, so he invited poor people constantly to his table. So he was able to raise his hands and say, Hashem, I didn't enjoy because I didn't view all the wealth and pleasure as we would do now. Rather, I viewed it as a burden. I have it, it means it's not mine, it's not there for me to sit back and enjoy, it's for me to go and give it out to others. The big checks can only be cashed in the world to come. As we explained, the neshama can actually feel infinite pleasure because neshama is infinite. Our brain is finite. The amount of pleasure Hashem can give us is tiny compared to infinity. And also in this world, the most that Hashem can give us is 120 years of pleasure. That's nothing compared to infinite eternity of pleasure. This world is too small to pay for even one mitzvah. Many mitzvot happen to be very enjoyable and enable us to enjoy life more. Like we said, relaxing on Shabbat, sleeping on Shabbat, eating food on Shabbat, marital relations, and so on and so forth. Most mitzvot are things that we would do anyway because we like to do them. Eating and drinking and sleeping and procreating. For instance, if a person learns to thank Hashem for eating and drinking or for breathing the air, that is a big mitzvah and it enhances the enjoyment of life. Someone who never said thank you for food or for a breath of air goes through life without noticing that he's enjoying so much, and really that means he's not enjoying. And when you learn to do the mitzvah of saying thank you to Hashem, all of a sudden your life becomes so much more enjoyable. When we utilize the mitzvot to be happy in this world, that happiness is not deducted from our reward at all. Rather, it is all part of the encouragement to go ahead and do more mitzvot. So, happiness from doing mitzvot is permitted. And therefore, it's very advisable for a person to learn how to enjoy the world with the attitude of thanking Hashem. If you enjoy the world for your own sake, that costs a lot of money because at that moment you're not doing mitzvot, you're just enjoying, you're losing tremendous amount of opportunity to accomplish. And at the same time, that reward that you're getting, you're exchanging for reward in the next world, which is infinite. But if you're using enjoyment to thank Hashem, then it's on His account because you're doing a mitzvah. So no reward is lost from the next world. And not only that, at that same moment when you're enjoying, your gratitude is a mitzvah, so you are accomplishing. So you can enjoy steaks and good night's sleep and luxurious life and marital relations and everything in the world and not feel guilty about it. And only while you are thanking Hashem for all your pleasures. Now, we go to chapter 121, page 108. Perfection is clinging to Hashem. When you look more deeply into this matter, you will see that the true perfection is only clinging to Hashem, deveikut. It is a pattern, now this is Rabbi Victor Miller speaking, it is a pattern in the Mesilat Yesharim to explain a subject and then to instruct us to look at it more deeply. This is an important attitude that we should apply generally. Even if we learned something, and even if we think we know it, we should go back and look more deeply into it, and we will see more than we saw before. This is the importance of review. Everything we learn, we must review, because review is part of learning. If you never review, you only cover the superficial layer, and even that you might not understand. When you review, you understand it better superficially, and then you have opportunity to dig deeper and understand better and better. And that is also considered learning, not even review. Now we come to a word that we find in this work more than elsewhere. The word perfection, shelemut. Shelemut means perfection, and the author is telling us that all of the mitzvot we do are our perfection. According to the improvement we make in ourselves and the shelemut we achieve, the perfection we achieve, so will be our reward in the next world. The more perfect we become, the more we will enjoy the next world. So far, the Mesilat Yesharim has explained that by doing the mitzvot, man prepares himself for the happiness of the world to come. That should be his aim in everything that he does. This is the basic concept of perfection. You perfect your character, and as a result, you will be able to enjoy the next world. And Hashem put us in this world in order to acquire as much perfection as we can. The amount of perfection one acquires in this world is directly proportional to the happiness he will experience in the next world. As we explained, if your plate is clean, you will enjoy the food that you're being served on the plate. If your plate is dirty because it fell in the mud and you didn't bother cleaning it, and then they place delicious designer food on it, it's not going to look appetizing, and you might not even want to touch it because it's disgusting. So too with our body and our soul. If we make it clean, we go to the next world and we will be able to enjoy. If our tools, our soul is dirty, we will not going to enjoy any pleasure. What is being added now is that simply doing the mitzvot is not the complete perfection. Rather, the real perfection is deveikut, which means clinging to Hashem by filling the mind at all times with the thought of Him. We should always be thinking about Hashem. This is one of the 6 constant mitzvot. The first mitzvah of the 6 constant mitzvot that every person has to have in mind is that God exists. Awareness of Hashem. And he says that perfection is awareness of Hashem. Because really, if you're aware of Hashem at all times, you will be careful not to do sins. You will be careful to do mitzvot. You will be grateful, thankful, happy, patient. All good character traits will all of a sudden appear. Why? Because Hashem is good. When you connect to good, all of a sudden you exhibit good. And let's just finish this paragraph. There are various ways of accomplishing this, which will be explained through the rest of this sefer. But fundamentally, the idea is to have Hashem in mind in everything you do. And that is why our sages instituted that we should say 100 blessings daily in order to help us, to remind us that Hashem exists. Put Hashem in your mind. If you start forgetting, take a cup of water and say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'akol niya b'dvaro, and drink. And when you say the name of Hashem, remember Him, think about Him, and that cup of water will save you. That cup of water will keep you connected to Hashem, and then at that moment your whole day will change. All of a sudden everything will start working out. Everything will be successful. Why? Because you're connected to Hashem. And if you do that 100 times a day, think about Hashem 100